parts of abuse. But
I had to see with the boys. You know what? Really, I had two boys. And
yes.
to me, all the my uncles were rapists and alcoholics and druggists, and I had to do something. I didn't want my two boys to take on this bloodline. Okay.
Yes.
I knew at that point that my boys I was all they had.
Yes.
And even my youngest son, father and family was in his life, but my oldest son, I was all he had. I was all he had. And so if I didn't want him on the street and in gangs and selling drugs and he in jail, I felt like I had to do something. And at that moment is when I realized that I had to leave Alabama. And I knew I needed a new environment because I was a product of my environment. So I needed to change that. And I knew in order for me to change my environment, that I didn't even know where to start. So the first thing I did was say, I'm going to Atlanta because my best friend had already moved to Atlanta. And so I knew that Atlanta for me was my second chance. I feel in my heart, Elizabeth, that if not Atlanta, then I'm gonna die. Then it's gonna be some kind of death for me, whether it was spiritual, you know what I mean? Whether it was physical, I knew that was it for me. Some kind of way, I said, I'm doomed. I did. I felt doomed. And I began this journey of self-love. Self-love. That was the first thing I did. Was how do I love me so that I can love my children? How do I save me so that I can save my children? I knew that it started with me. That makes sense?
Yes, it does. Because at the end of the day, I mean, as they're saying in the chat, Juliet says that 30 was your pivoting age. And for most of us, when we get to that age, 30, because it's almost like now we are leveled off.
Yeah.
We are no longer teenagers.
Yes.
We have come out of young adults and we are 30, we are facing on the other side, where we are supposed to have things together, right?
Yes.
Where life is supposed to be happening for us. And we're supposed to be responsible. We're supposed to have made good decisions. So now you're faced with, your reality.
I'm faced
with your reality.
Woman out here in the streets, right? Ain't got, temping here, temping there. Ain't, just letting the chips fall. Where they want to fall.
Yeah.
With 2 children, not only one, but 2 children, 2 black boys. Oh my goodness. With this family history of self-destruction and molestation and high school dropout and welfare and poverty, I had to do something because I was showing them the same behaviors that my mom showed me. And so while I had all these men that wanted what I had, okay, there was JJ. I'm just gonna be real about the thing. And at that point, I had mastered being a player. Oh, I had men that just bought me food, take me on trips. I had a guy I was dating that bought me a car, had furs, and when you saw me, I had bling on, and I realized that, wait a minute, okay, this ain't good. And so that's when I realized I needed self-love. So I went to Atlanta. And I was on a journey when I went to Atlanta. I didn't just go to Atlanta. I threw everything away in my house that reminded me of my old life. I threw stuff on the corner. I told people to come get it. I was done. I was done with I was sick and tired of being nothing and broken and hurt. I didn't even know all these things until I started this journey in Atlanta. And I'm packing my house. I'm packing up my truck. And I drive my own truck to Atlanta. Okay, me and my 12-year-old son, we drive my own truck because failure just wasn't an option anymore. I didn't care. So I remember putting on a big old skull cap and some jogging pants, looking like a real truck driver. I was looking like a real truck driver. And
You
I
wanted
was afraid.
to look the parts.
I was so afraid of driving that big. I had never drove anything. I got one of them real big moving trucks. I didn't get the little bitty one. I got the big one. And I was so afraid of driving that truck. I could hear the furniture and stuff moving. It's like, girl, it was a mess. But let me tell you one thing that I was excited about. I had $10, but what I was excited about was I was getting a chance to start over. And that was exciting. It was fearful, but I get the chance to be great. You know what I mean? Yes. I get a chance to start over. And yeah. And be the good mom for my boys and get my boys, had enough time for my boys to follow me because they was little. And so I feel like this was a good chance to, lead them to college and see me, my behavior, and teach them how to be good men and how to treat women. So it was for my boys. Everything I did, it was to save my boys from the same cycle.
From that life, yes, yes.
Yeah.
But how was it for you making that transition, leaving that lifestyle behind, and now you're gonna go? You decide, I'm gonna go back to school. Tell us about that